Healthcare is highly stratified on a global basis as well. Globally, about 1 billion people worldwide live on less than $1 a day and have no health care, at least not the health care that remotely resembles what we have in the United States. And 80% of the world population carries 90% of the disease burden and gets only 11% of the health care spending. The majority of HIV-infected people do not have access to effective and expensive drugs that are available in the West. And in 2008, 2 million people died of AIDS and 1.4 million lived in sub-Saharan Africa. Poverty affects the person's life expectancy as well. The rates of illness increases for the poor, and life expectancy decreases as one moves down the socioeconomic ladder. On average, poor people die 5 to 10 years younger than wealthier people, regardless of whether medicine is socialized or not. The poor have a higher exposure to health risks, both environmentally and because their working conditions puts them at higher risk. Poor neighborhoods are often full of toxic areas where children play. They're dumping grounds for undesirable materials as well. Low-wage workers are often exposed to toxic chemicals or dangerous working conditions. Health risks for children in poor neighborhoods is higher than their middle-class and upper-class counterparts. Poor children have higher levels of lead in their blood. Lead poisoning in children often leads to health and cognitive impairments. Tobacco use is higher among the working class, and this translates into higher rates of respiratory disease and cancer. Agribusinesses expose workers to harmful pesticides and herbicides, and job separation puts the person at risk because unemployment and loss of benefits then increase the likelihood that someone will not have access to good health care. Race and health are correlated as well, with minority group members being likely to die earlier for most serious health-related problems. Death rates for blacks are far above those in the other ethno-racial groups due to socioeconomic status, and the rate is high for Native Americans for accidents, suicide, and cirrhosis of the liver. People of color are less likely to receive appropriate medications for heart ailments, bypass surgery, kidney dialysis and kidney transplants, effective medications for HIV, effective surgeries, and adequate pain medications. In closing for this chapter on healthcare and inequalities, I want to point out that our personal health and well-being cannot be understood without taking into consideration inequalities based on race, class, gender, and sexuality. That's not to say that particular races or classes or genders or sexual groups are genetically or biologically predisposed to be more or less healthy than other groups. Nor are race, class, gender, and sexual differences simply a matter of diverse lifestyle, cultures, and tastes. Instead, broader conceptions of difference and the imbalances that derive from those conceptions have very real consequences for the quality, the comfort, and the length of people's lives.